Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. I am here to talk more about some books. Today I wanted to kind of talk about some of the books that I hope to read this year. I guess you can kind of say it's like a to be read pile, but really it's more of a pile of books or a list of books that I've had on basically my list for a really long time, and at this point if I don't read them I probably never will and would probably have to get rid of them. These are books that, like I said, are either standalones or they are part of a series, and I just either want to finish the series or, you know, determine whether I even want to keep the books or not. So that's kind of the reason why I'm making this video. Again, it's just kind of a way to just keep myself accountable and to make sure that I am being mindful of the books that I'm reading. But yeah, these are the books. The first book that I have on my list is kind of a wild card, I would say, or it's really a gamble on my end because I've heard such mixed reviews about this book, and that is Normal People by Sally Rooney. And this book is, from what I've seen, it has lots of mixed reviews. Either people really love it or they really hate it. So I don't know where I'll lie in this debate, in this discourse. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. I believe it's kind of like a coming of age story, and it revolves two people, right? I think at first he starts off popular. I don't even know the names of the characters. So it's Connell and Marianne. So I believe Connell is like the popular kid in high school, and Marianne is kind of like shy in a way. But then years later, I guess, or like a year later, I guess, when they're in college, it kind of almost flips. And so it's kind of interesting to see. I guess it would be kind of interesting to see how that goes. I feel like this is very character heavy, and I personally love character heavy stories. So hopefully I'll enjoy it at the very least. But yeah, I've had this on for a little too long now that at this point I think I should just go ahead and jump in at some point. So hopefully this year is the year for that. Next up on my list is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, and this book is the second book in the duology, in the, I forgot the name of the actual duology. I think it's the Vicious duology, which I already read Vicious and I really enjoyed Vicious. I think the best way I can describe it is when superpowers pretty much go to the wrong people. Like it's pretty much a story about two villains in a way. And so yeah, it's very interesting. It's actually the first book that I read from V.E. Schwab, and I very much enjoy V.E. Schwab's writing. So I don't exactly know what's making me not read it, not read the second book to this duology, but I just haven't had the time or the opportunity. Third book on my list is Jade City by Fonda Lee, and this is the first book in the Green Bone saga. And essentially this one, I don't really know what it's about. Believe it or not. I believe it's about like crime lords in, don't remember where, in Hong Kong, gangsters in Hong Kong. So basically I think there's something about the trade of jade in this case, or the jade itself is kind of like a very powerful source. I don't know if it's like, if there's magic in it, or if there's some kind of, I believe there's some kind of sci-fi element to this. And yeah, it's basically about gangsters in Hong Kong, and I think it's really interesting. I know this is a well-loved series in the community, and so that's another reason why I picked it up. But again, it's not one that I've actually read, even though I know that a lot of people really enjoyed it and they praise Fonda Lee for this, and I heard that it's a well-written series. I believe this series is already finished. I think she came out with her last book, I think last year. It's a trilogy, so she came out with a third book last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like there's a lot of politics going on in here, and it's gonna be, feels like a juicy read. Yeah, but at this point, again, I'm just calling myself out on these, on not being able to read these books. And hopefully by making this, I can create some kind of accountability for myself and just read it. This one is another embarrassing, I guess it's another embarrassing admission on my end, obviously, but yeah, again, it just goes back to just not having enough time to read stuff. But this one is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson, and this is the third book in the Mistborn trilogy, and I believe I mentioned the trilogy in my last video, but it is one of probably one of my favorite series that I've read in a while. And I say that even though I haven't finished it, because you just know, you know, like sometimes you just get a gut feeling that something's your favorite, and there's no denying that. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to finish this book. I did start it a while back. I don't know if you can see it. I did start it, but it just so happened that I just didn't finish it, and I'm a few chapters in, so hopefully this is one that I can just maybe if I don't read it all in one sitting, or like all in one, like in a group of days, maybe it's one that I can kind of go back to every now and again. But yeah, this is one that, again, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but I haven't finished it, even though I know this is a beloved series of mine, and at this point I don't think I can say that because I haven't finished it. But this is going to be the conclusion to the Mistborn trilogy, and yeah, if you want to know more about what it's about, I would suggest going back to my other video just to find out. But yeah, that's here. And next up in my embarrassing list is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And this book is, I don't know too much about this book, I'll be very honest. But again, it's another one of those beloved books in the community. It's a duology. This is part 1 of the duology. Part 2 came out last year, so that one's already out and ready for me to read it once I decide to read this one as well. As far as I'm concerned, I believe These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I believe this takes place in 1920s in Shanghai, so that's really interesting. I think that setting is really cool. But yeah, it's again about blood feud between two gangs. So I mean, there's I can sense the longing, I can sense the politics, I can sense the drama from this book. And again, it's something that unfortunately I'm very sad to admit that I just haven't read it, even though this has been on my TBR for like a while now. I think I got this a few months back, like 2 years ago almost, I think. Well, it came out in November 2020, so I got this a little over like a year ago, and I still haven't read it, and I think at this point it's very embarrassing. But yeah, hopefully I get to read it this year. I'm gonna try. I'm really gonna try and remind myself to read these books. Next up in my list is, it sucks too because I'm pretty sure I've featured this on my Instagram at least a few other times, and it was a very similar predicament where I'm just embarrassed to admit that I haven't read it yet, and that is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. And this book is interesting because it has everything to do with magic, and it has everything to do with somebody realizing their magic and their magical abilities. And unfortunately, it's just not one that I've read yet. And again, it's loved. It's very loved by the community, and unfortunately, it just hasn't been the time for me to read it. But hopefully, like I mentioned, like I've been repeating every time, this is the year for that. And I believe the second book to this series is coming out this year. So that's another reason why I have to hurry up, because that one's also coming out, and I would like to be on the hype train once it's there. I mean, hopefully I even like it in the first place. I think I might. We'll see. Finally, to add or to conclude this bit of a list is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. If you saw my last video, I did mention The Gods of Jade and Shadow, and that was also written by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I very much enjoyed that novel as well. I heard many people liked that novel more than they liked Mexican Gothic, and I believe this one is also kind of like a mixed review, like either people really like it or they find it really boring. So it really depends, obviously, but the consensus tends to be split on this book as well. I'm interested to see it. And like I said, this is another book that I bought maybe in like late 2020, so it's been over a year since I've had this. Pretty much the books that I have on my list, again, these are books that I've had for a while now, at least over a year, and or they are series that I already started and just haven't been able to finish them. I think part of the reason why I'm doing that this year specifically, or I'm trying to be more mindful of that this year, is I'm trying to be more mindful in general of what I'm reading and whether or not I enjoy it. Secondly, I would like to trim down my collection at some point and get rid of some books and make space for books that I actually want to keep. So in order for me to do that, I would like to at the very least get the chance to read them and determine if I actually want to keep it or not. But yeah, that's kind of the reason why. And hopefully by making this video, I keep myself accountable and can actually, you know, not bullshit it all the time. But yeah, it's kind of the reason why. Again, thank you for sticking. This is a bit of a shorter video, but hopefully it's worth sticking through. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I have been a little bit better at keeping that a little bit more busy and actually uploading it on a consistent basis. So definitely, and I'm pretty proud of some of my posts, so you know, by all means, if you want to follow me on there, you can do so. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you would like more videos, you can like this video. If you don't, then you know, it's fine. Otherwise, you can definitely subscribe to this channel, and I'll be talking more about books and what I would like to do this year in terms of reading. So yeah, bye.